Okay, so we've been discussing photosynthesis, and by this point hopefully you have a general understanding of how that works. But let's talk about factors that could actually affect how photosynthesis occurs, or if it actually does occur. We've studied in the past enzymes. We know that enzymes help catalyze reactions, and we see enzymes throughout all of photosynthesis. All those chemical reactions that take place in the Calvin cycle within the stroma of the chloroplast are utilizing enzymes. And so we want a temperature that's comparable for enzymes, so around 0 to 35 degrees Celsius, and that's the best place for the functioning of photosynthesis. If those temperatures go above or below, it's going to affect the enzyme. We know that enzymes can be affected if it's too cold, they'll slow down, or if it's too hot, it could actually stop working. That enzyme may not work anymore. Therefore, photosynthesis cannot occur. Secondly, we can look at the intensity of light. As the intensity of light increases, the photosynthesis rate will possibly increase. So if we look at this picture down here, this graph of rates of photosynthesis, we can see the intensity of light, the units, not too concerned about you knowing that, but right here we see shaded plants versus plants that are in the sun. And so just how intense that light is can actually change the rate of it. But notice what's going on with this graph. It's actually plateauing. And so there is a maximum rate of photosynthesis that you can't keep making that plant too hot and expect photosynthesis to occur. Or you shouldn't increase the intensity of light. That could potentially put heat onto that plant, which could affect the enzymes that are working. Water can actually stop photosynthesis if there's too much water and destroy plant tissues. Not always, not every single time, but overflooding could actually destroy a plant. And so we do see some plants that have a waxy coating. If you look at plants and you see a little bit of a shine, that's that waxy coating. And that's an adaptation for drier conditions. And so water loss will not occur because we don't want water to be evaporated. That waxy coating is hydrophobic, and so that water is not going to be attracted toward it, and it's not going to want to leave the plant. Now let's look at a couple of cases that are extreme factors, and you'll recognize a lot of these. For example, we have C4 photosynthesis. I don't want you to know exactly what that looks like, but I do expect that you know that it's a chemical pathway, a very special chemical pathway that will allow plants to capture very low levels of carbon dioxide and pass these on to the carbon dioxide cycle. And so these are things that have occurred in plants, adaptations over time, changes over time in these plants. And so it will require a bit of extra energy in the form of ATP to function, but it's requiring low levels of carbon dioxide to be to be put into the Calvin cycle. And some examples of these are corn, sugarcane, and sorghum. And sorghum is a type of grainy sort of looking plant, and we put this into biofuels and other things that are eaten. And then we have CAM plants. That stands for Chrysalis acid metabolism, and we just want to call it a CAM plant. These types of plants will incorporate carbon dioxide into some sort of organic acid during photosynthesis. And so examples of these are cactus, succulents, and pineapple trees. So these are utilizing carbon dioxide, but they're utilizing it in places, right, in these really dry conditions. So you're going to see very thick leaves on these, different leaves for the cactus, thicker leaves as well, and they're going to have some of that waxy coating to help keep water in.